welcome first of all to the marketing. Yeah, okay, perfect. I'm so sorry, I didn't get a notification. The recording is started. Perfect. So welcome people to the Marketing Synergies session. It's going to be a very interactive and fun space for all of you. And since we are just 10 of us, I expect that all of you can be super interactive and get to know each other as well in this session. So the session is going to be majorly for just 45 minutes, but I've curated a small space so you guys can interact with each other as well. And I hope that helps you out in just getting to know how you guys are doing in your own context as MCBP marketing. But before we start, hello everyone. My name is Ash. I'm your AI social media leader. If you guys know, this is an AI session, and we'll be working on marketing synergies, and I'll also be sharing some recommendations from AI side in this session. So I hope that it actually helps you guys in your term as well. Quickly talking about my experiences, I've done a few marketing experiences in ISEC, from IC International Congress CC to NSCs, DSCs. I'm currently handling the global social media. I've also worked with ISEC in India as MC Brand in the 2021 term, along with Pratham, who's also on this call. So yes, if you have any other questions or conversations that you would want to have with me, you can always reach out to me after the session as well. So starting, what I want to do before we have this session started is to break out you guys and have some conversation with you guys kind of one-to-one in each other. So CC, you can actually pause the recording right now. And what I'll be doing is I'll be breaking you guys into rooms of. Okay, perfect, people. I hope everyone's back already. I hope that you guys had some productive conversations, and I hope you had some time to understand how everyone else is feeling as well in the same shoes. Apart from this small conversation, I really encourage you guys to initiate your own um, ways of having conversations with each other, may it be your separate calls or whatever it is, to just get to know what you guys are working on and how you guys think and feel right now as MC marketing as well. Because at the end of the day, you are each other's biggest support in the network, and together you can do so much more than what you can do alone for your own entity as well. So make sure you continue having these conversations. And with this, we can begin our session, marketing synergies in the current context, and we'll be diving straight into the session now without any delay. The session objectives are very simple: understanding how the role and synergies have changed in the current year, because so much is changing in ISIC, and ISIC, as we know, is evolving and going to be a very important year for ISIC in general. And with all of these changes, how can you map out the synergies and blind spots that you might be having as an MC marketing? And what is your way forward with the people that you need to be having synergy? And by the end of the session, we'll be also understanding how you can plan your first 90 days as an MC marketing, especially from the synergy perspective, to make sure that you're rocking the synergies in your MC term. So the expectations that I have from this session from you guys is to make sure that you ask your questions, you're interactive, and you're constantly speaking up, because we're just like 15 people, and it doesn't make sense for you guys to like just shut up as if I'm speaking to like a huge crowd. So make sure that I'll be opening spaces for questions to give me answers. Make sure you're answering and you're interacting with the session as well. And now we will move forward with the session. So the first question I have for you guys is, what do you understand when it comes to synergy? So ignore the slide, but I just want someone to answer this question. What do you understand the synergy in general? And it can be a very simple explanation, or could be a really detailed one. Anyone can share, they can unmute themselves. There's going to be an awkward silence if someone speaks up. So I'm going to like continue with that awkward silence if someone speaks up. What do
Can
you
I go
understand the
first?
synergy? Yeah, Shadi.
Okay. Shahzaid from Pakistan here. Synergy is basically an art of collaboration while understanding the boundaries which are put in order to understand your job descriptions in a better manner. So synergy is also partnering, collaborating, and working on joint ventures, and keeping in view the fact that you have your own job to do as well, and maintaining your own success rate and KPIs as well, and understanding the gray boundary in between.
Okay, perfect, Sadit. Thank you so much. So with that, we can go into this first narrative I want to create about marketing in general. Now, this is something that you might have also felt during your transitions, or maybe you felt this while applying for the role itself. There's a lot of ambiguity on what the role is supposed to be doing. There are so many things that marketing can do, but in general, the role of marketing in ISIC has always been a mystery. And why is that? There is a general perception of marketing outside ISIC that it's for creative people. It's mostly about graphic designing or asking customers for nice photos. It's around content creation. That's what a lot of people think. The second thing is that we ourselves don't understand what our roles really are. This is something that's come from a lot of MCVPs that have been your predecessors. There's not a lot of clarity on what MCVP is supposed to be doing. One entity has a very different understanding of MCVP marketing than any other entity, and that creates a lot of confusion in the priorities as well that you set for your term as well. But what am I supposed to be doing as an MCVP marketing? Now, I'm sure that some of you will be as MCVP B2C, so it's a lot more simpler. But for those that are MCVP marketing, and there are a lot of things under your JD, you might have to ask yourself, what are your priorities? What is your role supposed to be? Our relationship with synergies gives us a reputation. This is a very important part. Who are we synergizing with the most in the particular term really defines the job description. That is what it's been so far in the previous years. So if I'm synergizing a lot with OGX, then as an MCV marketing are predominantly B2C, or whoever I'm synergizing with and working with in the most dominant manner is who um, it will be the priority for me as a term, and it will also define my role as MC marketing as well as the commission. Now, over the years outside the organization, if you just look at what we are doing inside ISIC and compare it with outside the world, in the world of corporate sector as well, you will see that CMOs have the highest turnover in C2. What does that mean? It means that CMOs, the chief marketing operate marketing officers of a lot of organizations, keep switching their roles every 2 to 3 years. So CMOs don't stay in the organization for a really long time. What does that say about the role of CMO itself? Is that there's a constant change in their career priorities, career paths. That means that they might be doing CMO at some point, but they constantly switch because there's so much that you can do in marketing. And this is exactly why marketing managers feel disconnected from the CMO suite or the C suite. This is an article which I have linked in the output of these slides as well, which you can read after the end of the session. I really recommend you guys to read this article. It will give you some perspective on what marketers have been doing, especially the C suite marketing. Marketing moment, the C-suite partnership is to deliver growth. Now, when I say partnership, it means synergy. The synergy and partnership you're making with other portfolios is predominantly to deliver growth. And the role of marketing, and especially you as an MC marketing, is to deliver growth to the people you're having synergy with at an MC level, at an LC level, even at a lower level in the organization. I think it's good. But again, here's another cool article that I will ask you guys to read after the session ends to just get some perspective as well. Now, let's break down the CMOs of today into 3 different archetypes. What we have here are 3 predominant types of CMOs or chief marketing officers. The first one is the unifier. It is a person that has a strong partnership with key players in C-suite to drive growth. So they unify people together and they're really good at synergy. The second one is loner, the person who has limited relationships with other C-suite executives and they primarily focus on marketing communication. And the third one is a friend, which is a good relationship with few of the C-suite officers, especially the CEO, but with limited responsibility for growth and customer experience. So they don't necessarily have a lot of responsibilities for growth and development of the organization as the chief marketing officers. Now, this is a survey conducted by McKinsey and Company, and you can check out again the link for this in the output. But what I'm trying to do with this output is that there are 3 predominant types of CMOs that we have in this world. And I want to ask you guys right now, what do you think in the context in this current year as MCVP marketing, which category would you like to belong out of these 3? It can be any of them. I want you guys to answer in the chat box. Which one do you think you should be? A loner, friend, or unifier? Okay, perfect. Most of you say unifier, and now we're going to look into how to become unifiers and how you can master the idea of cross-functional collaboration. It's going to be again a very interactive space. The first question that I want you guys to answer, and again I want someone to unmute themselves to answer this question, is who do you think ISEC impacts the most? It's a very open-ended question. You don't have to think as a marketer. You just have to think as an ISECer. Who do you think ISEC impacts the most? ISECers. Pratham says it's the membership we impact them. Youth, young people. Makes sense. Youth. Okay, perfect. The next question. As ISEC, what should we care about the most? It's again an open-ended question. The answer can be anything. There's no right or wrong answer. Impact, impact, impact. Okay. Leadership development, creating value. I like your answers. I would like you to see a video before we move to the next part of the session. It's a video by a very previous generation of ISEC. You will recognize it by the logo of ISEC in that video as well. But I would really like to show you guys this video, and then we can move on to the next part. Okay, cool. Now, while the end message was on the clarity of our what, there is a specific thing I want you guys to focus on. That is, what should we care about the most as ISEC? Now, everyone has their own opinions about it, but according to the video, it's leadership development. I will slowly reach, you will understand why I made this point in the beginning of the session by the end of it. But I want to now move on to the next part of this session, which is synergies, because this is what we're here for. The first thing I want to start with is marketing is understand the organization from the customer's perspective. This is the biggest lesson that you will learn as an MCVP marketing in the next few months. That as an MCVP marketing, it will be not enough for you to just understand the two books. or the brand or marketing terms or marketing strategies, you have to understand the entire organization from the customer's perspective. And that essentially means that you have to have few qualities that are non-negotiable as an MC marketing. And they are curiosity and empathy. At the end of the day, curiosity and empathy are not something to do with technology. I'm sorry, can you see my screen right now? Wait a second. Yeah, okay. So yes, the role of curiosity and empathy in the case of synergy is very important. And when I say curiosity and empathy, it's not necessarily feeling emotionally how someone else feels or putting yourself in someone else's shoe emotionally, but it's really just being curious about your customer, being curious about the other MC member, being curious about other team, being empathetic about how people feel about their own projects and what they really want in terms of support or help. The role of curiosity and empathy plays a big part in design thinking and planning as well. And it's very important that you as an MC marketing have curiosity and empathy in everything you do to be able to really understand the organization from the customer's perspective. And when you're truly able to understand the organization from the customer's perspective, you can start driving marketing solutions that all of the synergies require. So now let's go to the conversation that we all have been having within ourselves, but no one is talking about it out loud. The role of marketing in a normal year versus now during in middle of a raging pandemic is very different. Now, this is what you would imagine would be the role of an MC marketing during normal situations. That is external communication strategy, synergy with OGX, synergy with people management, synergy with finance, synergy with all the other back office portfolios, if applicable as well, customer advocacy, funnel management, market understanding, research, and stakeholder management. As simple as that. This is something that you would already know about as an MC marketer. But during the current context, there are a few more additional responsibilities that you as an MC marketing will have on your shoulders, which were not defined to you or were not given to you before you agreed to start the service. These are crisis communication, product branding, synergy with Engage with ISEC, and synergy with BD for B2B. This is something that's happening completely new, and it's something that's very new for most MC marketings and most entities because of two reasons. We are in between a pandemic, and second, ISEC is changing a lot. And with these changes, what you essentially have is a blank slate. The progress that was made in all of the portfolios back in the 1920 term have been kind of reset, and it's really up to you guys to again redefine what synergy means for marketing. What are your priorities and your function, and what will it be in the coming generations as well? So the way forward is upon you guys. But today, it's very important to acknowledge that crisis communication, branding, and synergy with new portfolios that are back office and BD will also be very important as an MC marketing this year, which will be very different from previous MC marketing terms. And this is something you will not learn from your predecessors. This is not something you'll get in transitions. This is something you have to figure out on your own in the current MC term that you'll be experiencing. So now we are going to do a quick activity. And what I want you guys to do is answer the questions in the chat box again. And here we're going to directly talk about synergies itself. So we're going to directly jump into what you think should be the ideal synergy with the MCVP TM. So for people management, for membership experience, what do you think should be the synergy between marketing and TM? You guys can keep dropping your answers, whatever you think, how many ever points you think, keep dropping them in the next 2 minutes. And again, this should be related to recruitment. This is just a hint for you guys. The TM synergy related to recruitment, what do you think it is? You can drop it in the chat box. To know about the attraction pool. Okay. Persona-based attraction. So for that, you need to know the persona. Okay. Others, what do you think are the key synergies for recruitment between marketing and TM? Is everyone else clueless? If you don't know anything, you can just pass on a wave. Like you can just say that you don't know. Social media campaign, membership showcasing. So that's again attraction planning, value propositions of membership, internal branding, employer branding, planning out persona and target. Okay, value proposition. Okay, perfect. So now I'm going to share with you guys what is supposed to be drum roll. Okay, the first one is understanding the membership personas, as people rightly mentioned, co-creating target personas for promotion. So again, according to your planning as TM, your TM will tell you what are the target personas and how you're supposed to create campaigns that are actually catered towards these target personas. Co-creating messaging and value proposition for promotion. So that's again attraction planning. Planning the goals for recruitment. So you're doing a co-planning over here. What it means is CM will tell you that this is the ideal number of members I want to recruit, and you're going to make a marketing strategy on how you can actually achieve that goal. So how many people are going to promote? How many people are going to sign up? It's again the same thing of a customer funnel. How many people do you want to recruit? That will be co-planned between you and the CM. Customized global recruitment campaign. So you already have a global recruitment campaign and you'll be getting one in the month of July as well. And all you have to do is customize it according to your local realities, because it really makes sense for you to personalize the messaging according to your local market. Guide your local committees on marketing and TM synergy. So again, it's very important that your LCs know how they're supposed to be synergizing, because the same thing that you're doing at the national level will be needing to be done at an LC level as well. Recruitment campaign plan, including word of mouth referrals, etc. It's very simple. You need to create a recruitment campaign according to the global campaign, but this is not just restricted to social media promotions, but a lot of other activities that you might want to do. And it works differently for every audience. It's going to be different for, right. It's going to be different for, let's say, university-based LCs, city-based LCs, the way you're reaching out to young people in your market, depending on that, it's going to be very different. So yes, implementing recruitment campaign and tracking and analyzing the final results, as simple as that. Depending on the activities the LCs is running at the moment, the value proposition for membership will have to be adjusted depending on the new membership experience program. There'll be more details in the reverse recruitment campaign, because if you guys don't already know, the way we look at membership is completely changing in ISEC because of the new membership experience program, which is MXP, and your VPTM will be informing you about it in detail, because you're learning more about it currently in RFS as well. And after you have more information about what this membership experience program is, you can customize the campaigns as well. So now I have some questions for you guys. The first one is that, are there any blind spots here that you did not consider? This is a question for yourself. You don't have to answer this. Which conversation do you need to have with, in this context, with whom? So this is something that you have to reflect for yourself. I'll be giving you 30 seconds to think about it. In regards to all of these things that I just mentioned, do you have any specific questions? Do you have anything that you don't know about? Do you want any knowledge from your predecessor? Do you want any knowledge from your MCP? Do you want any knowledge from your MCPM? All of these things, you can think about it in the next 30 seconds, and then we'll move on to the next one, which is finance. Okay, perfect. We can move on. Now let's talk about finance. And when we talk about finance as marketing, the first thing that should come into your mind is return on investment. Now, this return on investment can be obviously limited to your marketing activities, but there are a lot of things that are included in this marketing activity as well. So the conversation that you have with finance is literally one of the most interesting ones in the MC, because marketing always wants to do things and finance is always like, we don't have the budget for this. What is the return on investment of this one? I don't know if it makes sense, or if we should take this down as a priority. So there are a lot of really interesting conversations you'll have with your finance. Make sure that you are really good buddies with them, so it will be easier to convince them. But yes, again, the same question: what do you think should be the things that you have as points of synergy with your MC finance on the lines of return on investment? So whatever you guys think, you can drop down your answers in the chat box. marketing budget and investments, paid ads, obviously digital advertisement. If you guys don't have anything, you can just send in a wave. So I know that you don't have anything and we can move forward. Managing costs in marketing activities. What do you guys think are these marketing activities? Someone said it's ads. Someone said it's okay. Budget for marketing expenses like ads and campaigns. Agreed. Okay, 5 more seconds. Anyone else has anything to add? Okay, so here it is, the synergy between MC marketing and finance. Again, by the way, guys, if you want, you can note down certain things that you might have not learned of before, because you will probably forget it if you think of going back to the session, because you'll never actually go back to the session more often than not. So make sure you make notes for things that you did not know of. In this case, with finance, the synergies are very simple analysis of previous investments and results. So you have to make sure that you're downloading patterns. You're seeing that these were the plans, investments, and results of the previous MC terms. How did they work out? And the historic analysis is very important for future plans as well, because most of the things that you might plan in MC marketing, your predecessors would have already done it in some form or another. Research and advertising in your target market and competitors. So competitor analysis as well as market research is very important, especially in the domain of advertising, because to analyze what the return on investment will be, you need to know that how likely is the target audience going to react to this advertising campaign that you're running. So research. Again, this needs to happen with finance, not alone. You're not supposed to do it alone. It should happen with finance. Mapping a target market for advertising or other investments. Again, this is a very simple concept, something that you guys already know of, but it's very important that you use the right tools to make sure you're mapping your target market in the right way. And it's all tracked really well, because at the end of everything, you would want to also track the results, the return on investments, and at that point, it will be really useful. Preparation of investment plans, having LCs set up investment plans with synergy routines, aligning MCs and LCs plan of investment, setting up tracking measures, accountability routines, and revising and adapting based on results. This is a very constant synergy that keeps on going. But again, it's really important that you as MC marketing are not just having conversations on what you want to invest in, but you're also having conversations on how the results were for these things. Because as an MCVP finance, it's also very important for them to understand that these marketing investments have a particular return on investment, or this is a particular trend that they get out of this ROI or this activity, because they also have a commission to lead, and they give these recommendations to their finance commission at a LC level as well. So it's really important that you keep them in good education and consultation whenever you're making decisions. Keep in mind that AI does not recommend running ads, as other organizations have very competitive budgets which work against us, but it depends heavily on your target market and ad performances in that market, which again you can research. So that really means that if you really think that ads will give you a good return on investment, or historically it has done well for you, only 10 run ads, especially in the current context. Don't take the venture of trying digital ads or something if you have not done before. Again, the same conversation. Are there any blank spots here that you did not consider before? Which conversation do you need to have the most, and with whom? You can take 30 seconds to think about it, and then we'll move to the next part. And if you want to make notes, you can note down few things over here from this slide onto your notes as well. Okay, cool. Now let's go to BD. And here we're going to talk about B2B attraction. So my question for you guys is that where do you think BD and marketing synergize in the domain of B2B attraction? Should be fairly simple. The planning for lead generation, okay. Partner servicing, understanding pain points of the customers and addressing them in our campaign. Brand alignment, very good, makes sense. LinkedIn campaign. LinkedIn can be your primary B2B attraction channel. Link, okay, yes, LinkedIn, perfect. Anyone else? Okay, moving forward. For B2B attraction, it's very important for you to clarify who is responsible for B2B attraction and sales, because again, it might not be your personal priority. Align the focus of BD versus OGX and EVA as a part of the revenue diversification. It's very important for you to know what is the focus area in terms of BD and B2B attraction, even before you think of synergizing with them. Co-plan pre-attraction to B2B. That's obviously the very first touch point that you have with your MCVP BD. You co-plan the attraction campaigns because they have the information about the customer personas, the kind of products, the pain points, all the information you need. And you are the person who's planning out the campaign for them. Support with customization of the global B2B campaign. So you guys will have a new global B2B campaign by the time your term starts. And you can be using that B2B campaign for all of your B2B promotion activities. So keep a check for that, keep waiting for that. Support with messaging and presentation of BD sales portfolio. So this can essentially mean a lot of different things. It can mean proposals, it can mean booklets, websites, a lot of messaging that BD might be doing for a lot of the initiatives. So messaging and presentation of these things, especially in terms of brand alignment, is something that you have to do, and keep a check that all the BD initiatives that your entity might be running, how are you standardizing it to the ISEC brand? It should not be misaligned. That is a very big responsibility of the MC VP marketing. And the last one is aligning which channels are used for B2B attraction. Now, note from AI, if you don't have the capacity to do B2B marketing, you can propose to have an maybe an ESC and a C responsible for it, or have a separate team responsible for B2B attraction. And again, it depends on what have you assigned as the B2B channel of promotion, for example, LinkedIn, or to work with a BD responsible to support them. So you might not want to take up this battle on yourself if you already have a lot of other things on your plate. And if you don't have this particular portfolio in your hands, you're not managing B2B attraction, then what you will be responsible for is the initial planning and project designing, and then you will drive it down to your ESPs or staff or whoever you have that you're working with directly as MCVC marketing, and they will have to just make sure that they're executing the project that you have planned. So you still have to create those projects for your ESPs or the people that you're working with for B2B attraction. And again, define the synergies really well between them and BD as well. Who will be creating the touch point? Will it be you and the other MCVP BD, or will it be them directly synergizing with the MCVP? So make sure you're taking these things in consideration. Ask yourself that are there anything from this list that you did not consider before, and which conversation do you need to have, or is there anything that you want to reflect upon in terms of B2B synergy? Are there any questions that you should ask your MCVP BD, or do you have to reconsider your NSP structure for this, or do you have any other questions that are aligned to B2B synergy with your MCVP BD? If you have any of them, then make sure that you are noting them down right now, the next 15 seconds. Okay, perfect. Now, the elephant in the room, the one that we haven't been talking about, but everyone's been waiting for. It's engaged with ISEC, something that's happening, very new, and something that you guys are always curious about as well. Eva, where are you standing in terms of MC Synergy with MCVP Eva or MCP BD or whoever else is responsible for Eva in your entity? Here, what you want to talk about is brand creation and position. So how are you going to synergize with your MCVP Eva in context of brand creation positioning? So you can answer these in the chat box. Sorry. Yeah, you can answer this in the chat box. How do you guys think brand creation and positioning should be happening for heading for the future or other EVA initiatives that your entity might be creating? Okay, this seems like something you guys don't have an answer for. So let's directly move into it. I'll give you 10 more seconds to think about it. What do you think will be the synergy touch points between EVA and marketing? And then I'll share. Okay, so first of all, what you want to look at as EVA is a revenue stream. It's a new revenue stream for your network, for your entity. And what you want to do is clarify the focus of the entity and prioritize between different revenue streams. So a revenue stream is your exchange programs, your EVA initiatives, and also the BD initiatives. Now, what you want to look at is among the EVA initiatives, there might be a lot, there might be single, there might be none, depending on whatever options you have, which one will be your priority as MC Master. Clarify the way forward for engagement ISEC. That means you have to co-create a new initiative using the global initiative standards that will be driven down to the MCVP EVA. So when you're creating a new initiative with an MCVP EVA, again, marketing is not responsible to create new EVA initiatives on their own unless it's your explicit JD. The MC EVA will be creating the new EVA initiatives, and all you have to do is co-create it with them to make sure they're aligning with the brand. If using a global initiative like heading for the future, follow the global implementation plans for heading for the future. Now, if you're creating your own initiative, make sure that you're following the branding steps. It's all mentioned in this link. If you have not checked it already, you will also find it in the session output. So make sure you check this out. It's a very, very important link because it gives you a lot of information in terms of the branding that you have to do for engagement. Support you are responsible with market research and persona creation because they might not be used to it. Creating the brand of your new initiative again, along with the value propositions and the messaging for them. So the entire branding of the event, right from the concept to messaging to the name, logo, visual identity, everything needs to be done in synergy with MC EVA, and it won't be possible without you. It's really important that you make sure that you are aware of what are your roles, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and according to that, you're setting expectations on how you can support your MCVP EVA in this. And again, it might not be your priorities right now because people are not talking about EVA enough, but you will realize in the coming months that EVA will be all the rage and everyone's talking about EVA and everyone's focusing on EVA. So make sure that you have a plan ready already and build a communication strategy for the new initiative alongside your OGX planning as well. Because at the end, your market is the same and you need to have a centralized planning for all of them. Launch your new initiative and start the attraction phase. So the attraction plan for the entire program from A to Z will be again as it has been for OGX as well. Are there any questions or any blind spots? I guess you guys did not have any idea about this before, but again, from whatever you have seen right now on these slides, if there are any particular conversations or things that you want to discuss with your MC or predecessor or anyone else, make a note of it right now in the next 30 seconds. These conversations can be as simple as, hey, what is your plan for the way forward of EVA? Are you already having a structure in mind for your entity's EVA initiative? Or how is your MCVP EVA planning to carry out heading for the future? Or what do you think will be the reality of the market if you try to implement heading for the future or other EVA initiatives? So for all of this, you will want to have conversations with your MC to make sure that you're again noting them down right now if you have anything that comes into your mind. Moving on to OGX, this is probably the most profound synergy that we have been having as marketing over the last few years in ISEC. And right now, I expect you guys to already know what are the synergy touch points between MCVP OGX and MCVP marketing. For a few entities, it will be separate for OGB and OGT. For some of them, it's the MCVP OGX or whatever it is. You will already know what will be the synergy points for product marketing. So I expect you guys to put down what you think are the synergy touch points for product marketing in the chat box right now. Reflect upon it and put down what you think should be the synergy touch point for product marketing. Okay, pre-attraction activities, brand advocacy, communication strategies, product promotion alignment. Guys, what comes first? What is literally the first thing that you will synergize on with ODS? I think some of you would have already started that process as well. Market research, perfect. Co-planning goals for marketing ODX, strength, perfect. So now I'm not going to talk about it too much because we can already find this in the link over here, which will give you all the information that you need about marketing ODX synergy. And it's really a really good guide. So make sure that you check this out after your session. Make a note to check this out because it literally deserves a session on its own because there are so many points that you can have a synergy with your OGX and how it can go right and wrong. Take into consideration, however, how has your entity timeline changed with the pandemic? What is the focus product right now? Does it make sense according to the state of your market right now? So keep in mind that it will be a very different reality from what it was in your predecessor term or previous ISIC MP terms as well. Which channels of promotion are accessible right now for you and your LPs, keeping in mind that ground promotions might not be possible for some markets. Plan a communication strategy for each product and integrate these communication strategies into your national campaigns. So it's very important that you integrate them into your national promotional strategies and campaigns as well. And I really recommend that you customize these campaigns from the global campaign itself and don't create your own marketing campaign because more often than not, you might miss out on messaging that is created in the global campaign. And again, there will be a new global campaign given to you for B2C promotion that will be released by July. So you can wait and look forward to the global campaign for B2C as well as for B2B. So this was all about synergies. But before we move to the next part, I again want you to consider if there's something that you want to have a conversation with after this conversation with your MCOGX or anyone else. And again, these conversations are not just limited to, let's say, MCVP They can be related to your MC Finance, MC Marketing, MC MCTM as well. So for example, if you want to run a marketing campaign for OGX, depending on the kind of conversations you have with the MC you'll have to have a touch point with your MC Finance regarding it. So now what we're going to do is go back to the previous conversation we were having about the types of MC member you're supposed to be. And it's very clear, you guys already mentioned, you want to be the unifier who is a master at fostering cross-functional collaboration. Putting in simple words, who's really good at synergy. That means their synergy score is 100 on 100, right? So how do you make sure that you are killing your synergies and you're making sure that synergy is happening the best way possible? You do this by making sure that you're setting the perfect routines in the beginning of your MC term. The first 90 days make or break your synergies. And this is not just limited to OGX or EVA. It's for all of your relevant synergies. It's TM, it's finance, it's EVA, it's BD, it's ICX, it's OGX, any of the synergies that you have. Set the routines for them and follow them in the first 90 days and create routines out of them at an MC level, because the first 90 days are very important for your synergies. So what does the timeline look like for the first 90 days for your synergy? The first question you want to ask yourself is prioritizing which synergies are you working with? How did it work in the past in your MC? What is your common vision and your goals in the current MC? And which synergy is your priority within that synergy touch point? So there are a lot of different synergy points that you can have between, let's say, MC OGX, MC Finance, a lot of other synergy touch points as well. Which one of them are your priorities? The next question you want to ask yourself is, which timeline are you working with? Now, this is a very important thing. The timeline of your entity, the timeline of your market, the timeline of operations in your entity, you need to be aware of them to make sure which synergies work at which level. So, for example, if it's the time for recruitment, you will be prioritizing on your TM synergy more. Once you're done with recruitment, you might not look into TM synergy for a while. Again, it's very important that you are prioritizing your synergies on the basis of your timeline. And the best way to do that is to prioritize synergy touch points on a monthly basis and then divide them into weekly basis as well. But again, I'll get to that in the coming slides. The next thing that you want to take care of is, how will you measure success for your synergy? What does it mean to have a successful synergy between you and your other MC member? This is something that you guys have to decide mutually in the consultation of your team leader, which more often than not is your MCP. So make sure you're measuring the success of your synergy. Are you having those synergy calls? Are you having those conversations? Are you implementing those goals? Are you tracking those goals? How are you holding yourself and the other person accountable? You have to make sure that you're defining these things, because if you have not defined them, you're never going to track them. And the last one is, how will the synergy reflect on the local level? So how will you align your messages to the local level in terms of synergies? How will the synergy work on a local level? Because more often than not, your synergies at an MC level are very different from the LC synergies. So make sure you're keeping your network educated on how the synergy should look like between the LCVPs. And again, you're sharing with them good case practices as well as way forwards and measurements of successes on how the synergy can be implemented as well. So you make sure that you're letting them know that these are the SOPs or these are the non-negotiables, and this is how you can measure successful synergy. So they know exactly what they're supposed to be doing at an LC level, because otherwise it creates a lot of ambiguity. And more often than not, the MCVP marketing, the LCVP marketing gets confused on where they're supposed to synergize with other LCVPs apart from LCVP OGB or OGT, right? So make sure that they're aware of how they're supposed to be synergizing with other portfolios as well. And most importantly, the pre-attraction that we'll be doing, that will be literally starting right around the corner. It's very important that the pre-attraction is happening when you are conducting all of your activities in synergy with all the other portfolios. So the first 90 days are very important for the pre-attraction as well as attraction. So make sure that you are planning out your pre-attraction in consultation with your front office as well as other relevant synergies as well, like EVA and TM as well. Now, before I move to this part, I want to ask you guys if you have any questions up to this point. You can ask me in the next 5 seconds. Okay, moving on. Cool. So tips for not losing your mind while working in synergy, because synergy can be really difficult to handle, and sometimes it can become really difficult for people to work with someone else if you don't, let's say, like working with them, you don't connect really well, or it's just really hectic for you. There can be a lot of reasons synergies to not work, but it's really important that you have a good clarity of your role and you're 100% clear on what each person's role will be in a particular synergy. You have a mutual accountability. It should not be a one-sided affair where one person is expecting synergy from the other and one person has extra expectations from the other person. Have a clear centralized system to track what it means to be accountable to each other. It's easier to trust data analytics, so have a centralized, clear dashboard that represents the plan versus achieved for your synergy as well. So as I mentioned before, make sure you're planning out your synergy touch points, that you either update them regularly or automate them so you can not spend too much time on reporting it once you've already checked each other's trackers, but make sure you're tracking it and respect each other and their routine. Measure success of your synergies, being able to be super efficient in terms of your synergies, to be able to report for each other during meetings and making sure that you are very accountable and proactive when it's the right time for you to have synergy. Don't shy away from having those conversations and supporting your other MP members when you think that they might need your help or when you think you can help them as well. But again, it's very important that you respect each other's routine and you follow the non-negotiable that you have mutually decided in terms of the synergies you want to work with. Now, before we end this session, I want you guys to take 2 minutes to put everything that you have noted in the last few slides in the form of action steps. So what I want you guys to do is to create a to-do list for yourself. That these are the things I want to talk about. These are the things that I want to discuss. These are the things that I want to discuss with my MCC Finance, my MCC BD, my MCC EVA, my MCC X, ICX, or any other portfolio that you think you need to have a synergy with. Because I'm sure that you have not initiated these conversations yet, but I'll give you a disclaimer. There is no one that's going to initiate these conversations in a future frame of time. These conversations need to start right now. And you need to start discussing these things right now. The planning will not wait for it. You cannot wait for these synergy conversations to happen during your pre-planning or planning. It needs to start happening right away. So make sure that you're understanding what conversations do you want to have with each of your MC members for your marketing synergy. If there are any projects you want to work on or any other conversations you want to have, or you need any insight from them for your own marketing planning as well. So you have another 1 minute to just think about them and create to-do lists and add action steps in a calendar. And yes, after that, we can move to the next part of the session. Okay, cool, perfect. So I hope that you guys have time. Do you guys need still more time? Are you still making your list, or should I move on? Okay, cool, perfect. So now, before we move on to the last formalities of the sessions, do you guys have any questions or anything else you want to talk about in terms of synergies that you might want to discuss, or you have any other doubts or questions you can ask me right now? Okay, cool, perfect. If you guys have any additional questions about the session or anything else, you can drop them here at this link. Again, it will be given to you in the output of the session. So make sure you're visiting the session output again, because as I mentioned before, there are a lot of, let's say, articles and other links that you need to check as well. Now, I want to do a quick survey with you guys. What you have to do right now is think for the next 30 seconds and ask yourself what other sessions would you like in the coming days for your function. It could be anything. It could be related to any of the things that are related to marketing, your portfolio that will help you prepare yourself better for your term. So think about them if you already don't know them, and you can drop them in the chat box, and the regional office will make sure that we are curating sessions or we are doing something else to make sure you have the knowledge that you seek for your MC turn. Do you guys have any sessions or any topics in mind? If not, you can send a wave. Okay, perfect. So now what we'll be moving on is the last case is harvester learning. You can visit the link for that, and session output will be present over here, as simple as that. And with that, you can ask your questions and find the answers to the questions at your regional office from your regional managers on this link. So make sure you are visiting this link. That's all for this session. Thank you so much, guys, for attending this space, and I hope you guys got some understanding on how synergy should look like. Again, if you have any other questions that you might want to ask me, you can ask them to me, reaching out to me personally on my WhatsApp or Telegram. If you don't know my numbers, you can just drop me a text right now and try I can share my number with you. Anyway, you can also get them from the CC. And the last thing is don't forget to give your feedback. So the feedback form is already shared with you in the chat box. And what you can do is make sure that you're filling the feedback, because we as a CC literally open it in the beginning of each day and read what you guys are saying so we can implement them in the next day. So make sure you're recording your feedback, and that's all. Thank you so much, guys, for joining this session. And I will see you guys in the next one, which is delivered by me, that will be on campaign planning. So thank you, guys. Bye-bye.